Good afternoon. This is your fantasy podcast, baseball. Here, my boy Big Ant. What's up, man? It's opening week.
So yeah, it's right around the corner, man. We've been waiting for the season for a while now. It's finally here. Baseball's finally here, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We got a good little show for you guys today. We're gonna talk about that World Baseball Classic. We got some MLB injuries. Some player trends. We're gonna go over the pitching rotations in the NL and AL West, and we got a couple of sleepers for you guys later on towards the end of the show. But let's go ahead and start off with that World Baseball Classic. Ant, how'd you feel about that?
Yeah, it was came down like everybody wanted it to. It came down to Otani versus Trout. Everybody asked for it, and they finally got it, and Japan won. Crazy, right? Yeah.
Like it was almost like it was scripted, man. Like it's like
Yeah.
something out of a storybook there.
That was literally out of a movie right there. Out of a movie.
Yeah, but so hats off to Japan, man. It's I think that was their fourth championship they've won in the World Baseball Classic. It's the third or fourth. So one heck of a game there. I mean, they won 3-2, I think it was, right?
3-2, yeah.
So I mean, yeah.
Trout had a chance to keep it alive, and his buddy Otani got him whiffing.
Think he just knows him, man. Don't you think? Who has who has the advantage in that? Really, like.
I think Otani might have a slight advantage just because the pitcher can play with your batter a little more. But it's Mike Trout, so I mean, who really has an advantage against Mike Trout?
Yeah, I mean, because I'm thinking like usually when they're like doing batting practice, it's just some rando just kind of throwing the BP. You're not really kind of going against live hitters, right? I mean, I wouldn't think so. I mean, you want to protect your pitcher at all times. You don't want nothing bad to happen. Something gets smoked right up the middle or anything. But
line drive.
Exactly. So I mean, I don't really know how much they really pitched against that, or they've pitched and hit against each other. But I mean, it's just good to see, man. It's fun. And
it was a great inning, man.
It was good, man. So like I said, congratulations to Japan on the 3-2 win over USA. Well, we just want to kick off some MLB injuries also, man. Injury bug, man. We can't stay away from that at all. With the season upon us. You got any injuries right off the bat that kind of like it kind of irks you a little bit? Or
yeah, there was a tough one. Sacktown native, Sac State, great. Royce Hoskins. He went down with a non-contact injury. I believe he was he's backpedaling and backpedaling off first base into the outfield. Just buckled, went down, stayed down, and he's done for the season.
It's unfortunate, man. With torn ACL, right?
Yeah, torn ACL. He's done for the season. Yes, hopefully for a speedy recovery for next year. Sacktown guy. We didn't never want to see injuries in general, but when it's Sacktown, you get a little more of a soft spot for that.
Yeah, man. I think he was on a 1-year contract, so I'm pretty sure. I don't see why they don't bring him back to give him another year out of it to try to see what he can do and produce and help get that real contract year out of him and see what he can do. I mean, he's a great hitter. He can take that ball out the yard for sure. He's got power. The average is a little wishy-washy for me, but hopefully he comes back strong.
He's going to be a big part of that lineup now. That's going to be a big hole to fill. He was a pretty good overall player. Like, I mean, his batting average, like you said, wasn't the bee's knees, but the power was there. In that field you hit to the gaps a lot, so that allowed he was a big gap hitter. He swung for power, and I do feel like that's going to be a big hole to fill moving forward.
Yeah, most definitely. In some other news, we got Adam Wainwright, fresh off the World Baseball Classic. He looks like he's dealing with a growing strain. He's gonna miss the start of the regular season. Like you said, he's a little bit older now. Maybe he needs that extra rest to heal up. He's usually a tank when it's the regular season. The guy pitches every week. Maybe he'll hit the DL stint for maybe a week or two, but for the most part, he's usually pretty good with staying healthy. So hopefully this is just something minor. And
he's older. He's gonna need a little more time to get it back going. So especially as a groin strain, you don't want to take no chances with those. But honestly, everybody thought he was going to be gone along with Yadier. That That
Oh
battery,
yeah.
that battery, they were together for so long, and then Pujols gave it up, Yadier gave it up, but for some reason Wainwright, he felt like he's not done yet. So hats off to him, if he can still do it.
Yeah, man. I think he's like 42 or 43 or something like
Yeah.
that. But he produced pretty good. I mean, he was average. Let's just say that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He had those games where, I think I had him towards the end of last season, and he did give me a couple 20-point games, or 20-point weeks, and then on a double start, he gave me some good weeks. So I mean, he's not done yet. I think he's not just a player you could just kind of write off, but you're still gonna get production out of him.
Yeah, he's definitely a double star guy. Maybe even like a 4 or a 5 on your lineup. If you're depending on what your pitching rotation looks like. But I do feel like he should be rostered in all formats.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. And we also got another pitcher out. I think we talked about Lance McCullers last week, but here's a little bit more detail on him with the muscle strain. Looks like he's gonna be shut down for a few weeks. Last I thought it was only going to be like a week or two, but a few weeks. I mean, that's, you're talking about 2, 3, maybe even a month. So we'll see how he comes back. But once this guy's healthy, he can produce for you in your fantasy lineups as well. What's your take on Lance McCullers?
He's one of the guys who's really starting to hit the bug every year now, and it's coming a trendy thing for him. Like you say, when he's on the mound, he's a maybe a 2 in your rotation, but I'd say probably more of a 3 or 4, depending on the year he's having. But I mean, yeah, he's a guy that when he's actually healthy, he's a go-to guy. But their rotation now, the Astros rotation now is pretty solid. So they're not gonna. I don't think it's gonna be much of a void to fill.
Yeah, they got some pitchers out there in Houston, man.
Yeah.
So they always find that young talent to step in and help the team out and grind out a couple of wins. Let's keep it on pitchers, I guess, huh?
Yeah, man.
Tyler Glasnow looks like he's suffered a oblique strain, 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, that's a big one. He was finally healthy for the first time in a long time, and another one just hits him right back to back, and now he's going to be out for another 6 to 8. I'm saying probably more on the eight side, just due to him being a pitcher. They take that so serious, them being pitchers and all. They didn't let them touch the ball for the first few weeks, so that there, I think that's a pretty big blow to fantasy for anybody who took them in the mid rounds, and definitely it's a huge blow for the Rays because their pitching rotation's iffy.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and like you said, they're gonna just baby him in there. You got to get that pitch count going. He's probably gonna, once he gets to like 40, 50, and then even when he gets to start, he might not even hit that 5 innings. And that 5 inning mark, but depending on the pitch count. So by the time he's like fully, ramped up, ready to go, you're talking like maybe 10 weeks in, at least, right?
Yeah. Just to make sure, but you don't want to re-aggravate it or something to occur again, and he's out for another 2 months. If that maybe half the season to the All-Star break. So like I said, they baby these guys. I don't blame them because the pitchers, what they do, their mechanics and everything, it's not easy by any means. They just got to figure out how to replace them. I think all they have is like Shane McClanahan and Jeffrey Springs at the moment. So other than that, it's kind of looking a little bleak.
Exactly. What about the last 2 guys on this list, man? What do you think of this? These 2?
Yeah, right. Israel and Glaze. I thought he was going to be the closer and all of a sudden he gets hurt again. So I think maybe Will Smith, until he gets healthy, will step in there if he is out for too long. But I mean, Glaze, he's been with a few teams now, and he's been pretty consistent. Like I feel like I don't draft him a whole lot, but I kind of regret that I don't. Because he gives you a solid 30 saves a season, 30, 35 range. And I think there was only 1 or 2 years. This was like a little while back where he was blowing some saves and it was looking pretty ugly for him. But for the past couple of years, he's been pretty good go-to guy in the middle rounds.
What I like about him is I don't know if they do it as much as they did when he was younger, but they'll give him like 2 innings. They give him like the 8th and the 9th inning, and he would get like that, that 2 inning save type. So I mean, I haven't seen it done recently with him, but he is capable of doing it, and I've seen teams use him that way. So he's a big part of fantasy, especially reliever. Those guys are hard to find, or those guys kind of go quick because relievers. Everybody's got to run 2 of them depending on what league you're in. So yeah, that's a pretty big blow, especially for him.
We got this one, Oaktown native Frankie Montez. Yeah, that's a big one right there. I feel like the Yankees were him at the trade deadline last year when they picked him up, and then he just didn't do anything, and now he's out for a big patch of the season. He's going to miss at least 12 weeks. Anytime, I'm not 100% sure if it's a shoulder. I said a shoulder injury, but I'm not 100% sure if it's a throwing shoulder. I don't even think it really matters. But if it is a throwing shoulder, like I said, they're going to baby that to the max.
And, it looks like it says surgery.
Yeah.
So
that's why it's more likely going to be the 12 weeks, 3 months, a little over, probably All-Star break for sure. But the Yankees rotation is really banged up right now. They got Carlos Rodon. He's going to miss, I think, 2 or 3 first starts of the season. And then Nestor Cortez, he's probably good to go, but he was hurt through spring training. So they're paying all these guys, and they're not really panning out so far.
Yeah, they're big names too, man. Some of those guys are big names and getting paid really well. It's the Yankees, man. They always overpay these guys. That's just the Yankee way.
It's a big name, yeah. Big names are mustaches.
Yeah. What are you gonna do, man? Oh well. So that kind of wraps up our MLB injuries. There's a lot of question marks on those guys, but hopefully for these guys to come back real soon and help your teams out. And if they're not on your team, keep an eye on them once it gets closer. When they're about 2-3 weeks out, you want to try and take a stab at it and get them on your team, right?
And if you've got an IL or IL plus spot available in your league, yeah, definitely, man. These guys can. They get the names mentioned probably won't win you a league, but they'll definitely win you some games for sure. But Hoskins definitely won't win you a league. He's done for the year. Wainwright, he can get you some wins. McCullers, I think he could be a really stash guy. I think the 2 on the list that you probably want to stash the hardest if they're going to be available is McCullers and Glasnow. I think Montez is too far out to even worry about. And then in Glaze, most people do have a closer for the most part. So unless your closers are really, really bad, then I would try to stash in Glaze. But McCullers and Glasnow, those are 2 guys you should definitely look at moving forward.
Yeah, so make sure you guys pay attention to the news and make sure you're watching or watch here. We'll try to keep it updated with injuries as possible. And, when it's a good time to go ahead and pick those guys up off the free agency and just hold them for – you just got to find that right time to pick them up 1 week before everybody else is looking at them and stash them on your team and hold them for maybe a week or 2 or even 3, depending on how much of an impact that player is going to give you. So – all right, man. Let's just moving on along. Well, we got player trends, man. We got a couple of guys on here, man. The one stands out to me is looks like the Dodgers. They've been looking for a closer, and I think right now the reports. What's that? Bruiser, Graterol.
Graterol.
Yeah, I don't know how you pronounce it, but it's something like that. But they said I read the news on him today. They said it's looking like he's going to get that closer role.
Yeah, I heard it's going to be a split for a little bit, but I'm thinking they're going to give the nod to him in the long run. He's definitely somebody I keep my eyes on. He is getting some pretty good action on the waivers too, so he's somebody you guys might want to look at sooner than later. But yeah, for maybe for first 1 or 2 weeks, wait on it a little bit, but I wouldn't wait too long.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking at him actually right now. He's especially playing for the Dodgers. If he's going to be the guy there, you're gonna get saves there, and you want to exactly. You want the time is now. If you have a spot, this is the time you take him just to see where he's at, because you'd rather have him on your team. And if it's not him, you could dump him easily. So, but now's the time to go ahead and pick him up. If you have the space to pick him up, I would do it. If not, I know a lot of people are waiting on some IL spots to clear up, and that's just kind of holding a lot of the guys back. I know there's a lot of people that are going to get picked up here once these IL spots are available and once the season starts. And I'm pretty sure that's coming up real soon too. And I'm not 100% when it starts, but I know is it the day the season starts?
The day before, maybe 2 days before. Hopefully sooner than later, because I got guys in every league I'm stashing. So there's literally, those guys you just stash and wait on because their names are so big, like the Harpers, the Altuves. Those guys are gonna be sitting there for half your season on IL. So I mean, you gotta open that up for a reliever or or a outfielder.
So just like his Amazon Prime account. I mean, he's got a lot of people on the cart. Right, all he has to do is push. All he does is to push the button, and he's getting these guys easy, real quick.
I don't know how the whole system works. I'm really looking into it too much, but it's one of those things where I think they weigh based off the MLB rosters. But I think it's kind of funny because Walker Buehler, he's already on the IL in almost every league, and there's guys like Harper who are half the year, and Altuve they've been out for 10 weeks, but they're not on the IL yet.
Yeah.
One of those funny things about fantasy.
Yeah, so he's the biggest. He's one of the bigger changes so far this week in the player trends. Like I said, reliever, go grab him if you had a space. We also got Profar. I know Profar just got signed to Colorado. And it looks like there's a lot of action this week on picking him up, man. How do you feel about Profar?
Yeah, I like it. I mean, if he's an everyday guy, I don't mind it. It's a big ballpark, a lot of gaps in there for him to get some hits. If Chris Bryant doesn't get hurt again, he stays on the field. That'll help out the whole lineup in general. So that open everything up for everybody else. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Profar, he's like a leadoff hitter 2 guy, I believe, somewhere around there. So yeah, I like it.
He's still pretty young too, man. I think he's still got some good tread on the tires, and he just bounces around everywhere. How come we can't find a home?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you, man. He's maybe injuries. I mean, he was banged up a little bit last year, but I don't know. He's a pretty, like he's not like one of those guys who's going to blow anybody away. So I mean, that could be why he's maybe expendable. But yeah.
Let me see. I got his. I think his stats are right here. Well, he's only playing. I knew before he used to play second base and a little bit of infield, but it looks like he's strictly just outfield right now. So I know, and I think he does play second base. So once he gets those 5 starts, or if he just subs in, he'll be able to be a second base eligible. But yeah, actually, his stats aren't popping up for me. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what his deal is. I know he's bounced around the league a lot, so hopefully he finds a home here in Colorado. Great place to hit. We got Jared Schuster, a starting pitcher, just making some noise.
Yeah, I think they'll hit the season as a 5 guy. They're saying 5 almost for sure. I looked at it yesterday. Actually, I took a look at him too, and they're saying he'll get the 5 spot. He's looking pretty good in Cactus League, and he should be the guy.
So this is right here 6 hours ago. They say he's expected to start the 3rd game of the season.
Yeah. So he's pretty much a lock, and I feel like every young guy that the Braves have is pretty much blowing up. So I would definitely take a chance. I would definitely take a chance on him.
Yeah, he's him, and I think it's Dylan Dodd is another one that he's fighting it for. But like you said, these guys are just performing right now.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a good problem to have for the Braves, right?
Brett, it's great, man. You got Fried, you got Kyle Wright, Spencer Strider last year. They all blew up. Fried was already pretty decent, but you got the other 2 I brought up. They were just killing it last year. And then you got Soroka, who's been battling injuries for a while, but he's still their lineup is so young, man. It's ridiculous.
And I know this is like Cactus League stuff, but this guy, check this out, man. This guy's throwing a 1.45 ERA, a 0.59 WHIP. He's got a 14-4 walk straight ratio, and he's done it in 18.2 innings. It's just ridiculous, man. Opposing hitters they're hitting they're hitting .115 on him, man. That's just ridiculous for a young kid to be throwing like that.
That young, yeah. I don't care who it's against.
Because I'm sure you're still hitting. These guys are MLB players, man. He's not just nobodies that he's throwing the ball against. So I mean, this guy is for me, he's worth a look. And I know he's probably on Ant's radar for sure, especially if he says he's already been doing homework on him. So I'm gonna have to keep an eye on that.
Oh yeah. Hey, we're both big pitcher guys. We have nobody. We have no bats on our bench. Maybe one, if that. We do double starts up the yin yang, and that's all we worry about.
I mean,
I'm
especially
looking for every young stud that's coming out. Trying to get
especially
them on
these
the
young
roster.
guys, man, because nobody's paying attention to these guys. And I'm watching, or I'm looking at every time I see a young name up there, I'm like, okay. And then I hit that add to my scout team so that I can keep an eye on him and get the news on him. Because if he just continues to shine, like it takes like 2 or 3 good performances for me to be like, all right, that's good enough for me. Maybe even depending on how good that performance was. If he goes out there and he's throwing shutouts and all these Ks are flying all over the place, I'm jumping on him quickly because you just never know how it pans out. He could be one of your top of the steals of free agency.
Free agency, correct? Yeah, you never know, man. It could change. It can make a big difference on your lineup.
Yeah, no doubt, man, no doubt. All right, man. Anthony Rendon, third base.
Rendon,
I don't know.
Rendon. Yeah, I have hope for the guy. I mean, he did great in Washington. And then, just came to L.A., got a good fat contract. Like I always say, you get paid, you get hurt. It happens every time. So hopefully, I mean, I hope he comes out and slugs me 25 home runs and gives me 100 RBIs, hits 275. That'd be great. That would please a lot of people in fantasy.
He's rostered on a lot of teams right now.
Yeah, he's still getting picked up in almost every league I've drafted. He's been picked up.
I think he's a free agent in our league, right?
He could be. Well, I mean, depending on the roster size, yeah. But yeah, if he's not rostered in anybody's league who's listening, you should go pick him up, depending on who you have at the base.
Could be a solid bet. As long as he's healthy, man, this guy can produce for sure.
And then that back over there in over with the Angels, they're pretty solid. So you can't really mess around too much, or you're gonna get jacked or double or triples. It's all bases are gonna be filled for him a lot.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and let you talk about your last guy, man. You little San Francisco.
Thairo Estrada?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is a little utility guy. He had a pretty good, decent year last year, man, for us. I was surprised. He came out, had a good batting average, had okay RBIs, not really too many jacks, but just on base and doubles. Some mostly doubles for us. Yeah, he a lot of people picked him up last year. A lot of people came out and picked him up. He ended up being a lot of people's second base, first base. He pretty sure he played 2 or 3 positions for sure.
Yeah, he did. I had him in the Yahoo League last year. That dude played the whole diamond.
Yeah, sure. he played quite a few positions. So yeah, that's what he came out and I don't know. He's one of those guys that you really kind of overlook just because he's a giant, and our lineup's not too fancy right now, so it kind of depends on how everything pans out. But I kind of want to leave him on the waivers for right now.
Well, he gets hot sometimes, man. Like I said, I had him last season. He did pretty solid for me. I got him off the waivers.
Yeah.
And he can play. He plays second and shortstop for you. So you got that flexibility there, which is pretty nice. It's always nice to have that flexibility and move those guys in and out, especially if you're playing a daily league, man. That's the biggest thing. When you're in a daily league, you want that as many positions as they can play, man, because it helps. It helps, makes it that much easier for you.
Yeah, if you ever get a bump somewhere else, someone gets hurt for the week or so, you always feel that void more than likely with Thairo Estrada.
Yeah. Some more trends. I don't know why it's not showing on my notes over here, but one guy that's getting viewed a lot is a young guy named Luis Urias. He's a third baseman from Milwaukee. He's getting some more hits in the Cactus League, and he's taking advantage of it. And it looks like he might be expected to start in Milwaukee there. And what I like about this guy is we just talked about flexibility, and in CBS, this guy's playing second, third, shortstop. So you got 3 spots to put this guy. If this guy ends up producing, he's one guy to kind of take a look at. So I don't think he really hits for power. I think he's more of a young guy that's actually just kind of like stealing bases and just getting you singles and stuff. I don't know how much you know about this guy, Ant.
Yeah, he's not going to give too many long balls. He's a doubles guy, triples guy, singles guy. Keeps it on the diamond. Yeah, I mean, the average is probably a little better than your batting average is probably a little better than average, but it's not blowing nobody away. I mean, he's a younger guy, so people are probably taking a look at him.
Yeah, I mean, he played a little bit last season.
Yeah.
I mean, he still put up like 200 fantasy points, but his average is was about what 239.
Yeah, not
So
too
it's
great.
like kind of a little lower, but looks like he's gonna get the start nod. Biggest thing is flexibility, and hopefully he can take advantage of that. Another guy I wanted to talk about also is Ryan McMahon. It looks like in Colorado, it says they have him playing third base, but the news came out saying they're going to move him to second. So I know it's kind of hard to find a second baseman in some leagues, but what do you think of him moving to second and using him there? I mean, he plays in Colorado, so
Yeah, I like Ryan McMahon. He's like a little tool guy. He does a lot for your team that you don't really expect. He should be rostered in pretty much every format, and I mean, depending on who you got there, I wouldn't mind starting them. Like I said, Colorado, you don't really know what they look like right now because you haven't really seen them fully healthy. I feel like if their team's remotely healthy, they can do some things out there in that ballpark, help your team out a lot.
Yeah, he's batting almost about 250-ish. He's like right in that ballpark, hitting about 20 home runs. Got about 130 hits last season. So for a second baseman, I mean, if you're looking for a second baseman and you just got nobody, I'm sure he could help you out there. Because there's a lot more reward playing in that ballpark for sure. Let's see. I think I had one more I wanted to talk about. Oh, good news on your boy Charlie Blackmon. Looks like he's healthy and he's returned to the lineup, man. Looks like he's ready to go.
Yeah, probably their leadoff guy. I mean, there's not really a whole lot to say about Charlie Blackmon that you don't already know. He's probably 36, 37 now.
He's 36, man.
Yeah, he's up there in the age. He had a pretty good year last year. Gave you more home runs than you were going to think. I say in the low 20s, and he gave you, I say, close to 90 RBIs. This was the second half of the season, so I mean, it was pretty good if you owned him last year. Like I said, Colorado is going to be a big question mark until we start seeing it play out.
I remember the old Charlie Blackmon. Man, remember when this guy was hitting 29, 30 home runs?
I remember when he was like batting average like 330, and he had like 250 hits season.
Oh,
that was Charlie Blackmon. I remember.
330. Yikes! I forgot about that season.
That
was back in 2017.
Yeah, that guy was getting on base every at bat.
653 fantasy points that year.
Yeah.
Yo, and that guy was just ripping it, man. Yeah, 37 home runs that season. Yeah, we'll never see that Charlie Blackmon again, but he can still be somewhat of a help, if you're trying to fill a void on an injury and you just choose the right weeks. I mean, he can still help you out. He is one of those guys that is very streaky for sure. Other than that, man, that's all I got for these guys. Is there anybody you got your eye on or any trends that's going any way you want to toss out there?
Yeah, I was gonna say Charlie Blackmon, but yeah, that's pretty good for the week.
Also, Justin Turner's. I saw some news on him too. That's probably for later. Actually, I kind of jumping the gun here. We'll just keep on rolling. I want to talk about some pitcher rotations. I want to talk about the NL West first. And right off the bat, we're going to start with Arizona, man. In that third pitcher slot, he's a free agent in a lot of leagues, man. He used to be one of the bigger names. I know you used to try and snag him up later in the rounds, man. What's wrong with this guy?
Madison Bumgarner?
Yeah.
Mad Bum? He's
done or what?
Yeah, I mean, he's done. I can't even sugarcoat it. I can't even try. He just throws too many long balls, man. He throws it out there and then just mash it every time. He'll give you, I'll say 5 starts a year, or he'll give you plus points. Other than that, you're getting 10 at best.
You don't think he could have?
It's not negative.
You don't think he can have that bounce back year, man? Gives you that one solid year where like he just flashes that greatness he used to, do that back in San Francisco.
Nah. He doesn't even look like he wants to be in Arizona anymore. I feel like every time he pitches, he looks depressed and so sad.
Looks depressed.
Yeah, he looks sad. Like there's no fun. He's not having any fun. He's always a hard ass. This and that, and he always had that demeanor that he was always gonna be a tough guy. But if you put him on a team where they're winning, yeah, sure, he could. I feel like he could turn it on a little more, but I feel like Arizona, they had nowhere to go. So
he's following the money, man.
Yeah, that's what he did. Yeah,
he followed the money. So I mean, what if? Okay, so let's just have some fun with it. Give me a team you putting Madison Bumgarner on right now that puts him back to, let's just not say elite, but at least above average.
A team that needs him, or just any team?
Just any team where he could be a fantasy, a guy that we're all looking at again.
I mean, I think they like the Phillies. You got the Dodgers. I mean, you always throw him on the Yankees. They're banged up right now, but I'm thinking of more teams that would need him too, just so he'd be like an everyday guy, like in the rotation or every week.
So you're telling me he's a guy that shows up to work and hates his job right now?
Looks like it.
Kind of sounds like my boy Jose, man.
Yeah, shout out to him,
huh? Yeah, Mr. Dark Cloud himself. What about Zach Davies, man?
We talked about him before. He's one of those guys who's going to be the end of your rotation. He's going to give you 10 to 15 points in fantasy. He give you 5 innings pitched. Hopefully, he doesn't allow too many runs. It's all about the runs with him. If you allow 3-4 runs, he's not going to give you too good of a day.
Kind of hard, especially with pitching in Arizona, man.
Tiny ballpark.
Arizona is just like. Not just that, the run support, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the bats are coming around a little more than the pitchers are. I feel like they only got maybe 2 decent pitchers, and they got a lot of young bats. We'll talk about down the line, but their bats they'll come alive. I feel like they're going to come alive this year, and they'll put up some more runs than they have been in the past.
Yeah. I'm just trying to see Zach Davies from last year. He didn't pitch a whole lot. Actually, he did pitch a whole lot. He had 27 games. He only had 4 quality starts, 2 wins, 5 losses, 102 Ks. He had an ERA of 4.09. So yeah, not a lot out of him. So yeah, I don't know, man. He's Arizona. I usually kind of stay away unless it's one of their top aces, and even that though.
Yeah,
they're not kind of impressed.
Yeah, they're not guaranteed to give you a great day.
Yeah,
we just saw against Japan. Merrill Kelly got blown up. So
yeah, so Arizona's kind of a tough one, man. I mean, I know when you draft them, you see you want their the team's ace all the time, but sometimes that just doesn't help pan out. But these other 2 guys in their 5th slot, looks like these guys are fighting. I have no clue who any of those guys are, and I'll just continue to keep saying I'm staying away from anything in Arizona.
I agree.
All right, man. Let's move on to Colorado here. German Marquez. I seen this guy here every time. Look, we just talked about the aces, right? Mm-hmm. Why is this guy still available, man?
He has like he has at least a high 4 ERA every year. Kyle Freeland next man, high ERA. Yeah, those two they're about probably they just paid Kyle Freeland too last season, last season. So I don't see why they invest all their money to him, because they have crazy high ERAs every year. Like they'll go. Kyle Freeland, I don't know if he went positive last year in the win-loss ratio, but I know German Marquez, he'll probably be like a 10-10 guy, 12-12 guy, somewhere around there. But
that's the type of guy you want to start on the road, right?
Yeah, you start these guys, you're starting them on the road. You're starting any of them on the road. If you're rostering any of them, also you got Jose Urena, I believe Miami.
Yeah.
Philadelphia, I think he played for Philadelphia for a little bit too, and then Antonio Cenzinella. Another guy who gets jacked. I mean, it don't matter. The ballpark, it don't matter. Senzatella don't matter. The ballpark don't matter. So if you're going to roster one, I would say Maybe Freeland. Maybe he's got a little spark because he got paid last year. But yeah, Marquez, Santelli, Arena. I'd say leave him alone.
If you look at it, there's nobody in our league that's rostered any of these pitchers.
Yeah.
So that's a big point.
That's what I said. Maybe if you're going to sign, if you're going to roster one, maybe Kyle Freeland. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I'm just like with Arizona. I'm staying away from everybody here.
Yeah.
I don't even want to chance it. You know what I mean? Because it's too much work for me, man. Like, I want to roster one of these guys. Okay, I'll take it back. A double star. How about that? We got it. Some of these guys on double starts. You using them there?
I said, yeah, I'll do Freeland on double start. And I might do Marquez depending on the matchup. But I mean, like you said, like the double start, that could be double trouble too as well, man. Like, so,
hey, two home games. Yeah,
you see the schedule, 2 games in Colorado against maybe subpar teams. It don't matter. They can go out there and still hit you for 3 or 4 runs. Give your guy 7 points for the week. 7 points for that start. Like, come on, man.
And then give you a -5 on the next one, or what?
Yeah, or anything, or another 3. So I'll give you 10 and 2 starts. Like, oh wow. That's not gonna help me out too much.
So these pitchers right here are the ones you really want to be careful of, especially with your double starts, man. Colorado's been very one of those teams where you're like very kind of like cautious with. So just be careful with those. I don't recommend anything in Arizona and Colorado until I see like a consistency between any of these pitchers. So for me, I'm kind of staying away from there. I'm staying away from anything over there. Moving on to the Dodgers, man. Looks like everybody's been taking their whole starting 5. I don't know what to talk about out of these starting 5. I mean, are they running a 6-man rotation or are they sticking with a 5? Do you know?
I'm pretty sure it's 5. I don't know what they're doing with the Ryan Pepway guy. I don't think he's going to start, but I think Syndergaard's going to in that rotation in the 5th, and it does. I think based off this one, I think it's Urias, and then Dustin May, and then Kershaw. I think they wanted to separate the lefties. I read that yesterday or today. But I mean, I mean, that rotation's pretty rock solid. I mean, you got Urias, who gives you probably 15 wins a year, and you got Kershaw, who gives you 10 wins a year and then misses half the season. So that only tells you what he could do with a full season,
Right.
And Gonsolin, this guy's probably the steal of the draft if he stays healthy. He had 16 wins last year. I think he went 16-2. Dustin May, he's like their top prospect or something like that. That's actually in the MLB. I would roster him and probably make him my 4 guy in fantasy at least, and then Noah Syndergaard, just throw him in there. I probably wouldn't roster him. The guy got jacked pretty bad last year.
Yeah, I know. I had him last season and 4 starts in, and I was like, then he's not the same pitcher, man, that he used to be for sure.
It hurts too, man. But he was nice in New York.
Lights out.
Yeah, he was real nice.
Yeah, I think he's only rostered because of the name, right?
Yeah, that's what a lot of people do. I do it with some players, obviously, so I can't judge on that. But yeah, no Syndergaard. I mean, and you can also say he's a Dodger, so maybe they'll give him some run support. Get some wins. But like the overall, if he wasn't in New York, if he was playing for the Rockies or something like that, similar to if he's going there for the Rockies, that would be horrible. Nobody to pick him up. So this the fact that he's a Dodger and that they score a lot of runs, and maybe he'll only give you 3 runs allowed. If that happens, and maybe he's picking up down the line.
Yeah, especially as the 5th starter, you're going against that team's 5th best pitcher, and it being Noah Syndergaard. You know what I mean? You just never know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, I mean, maybe a month from now, he's 3-1 with a high 3 ERA. Take a look at him. He's on the Dodgers. He can't hurt. Because I mean, some pitchers based on the location will get you 12, 13 wins just off run support. The points might not be blowing anybody away, but if you get a solid 15 to maybe low 20s, that's good. I mean, that's pretty consistent. That's not bad. I mean, it's pretty good from your 5.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure, man. Let's move to San Diego's starting lineup here. You got Darvish, you got Musgrove, Snell, Watcha, and I don't know who the fifth guy is out of all those. I mean, it looks like in our league, all those guys are locked up, and it's a question mark, especially being San Diego. I mean, they're a pretty good team. So if we can find out who that fifth starter is, I mean, for fantasy wise, I mean, you could get some points out of a guy, but I don't know who it is.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess and say Waka as well, and then you got, based off this list, you got Cole Hamels way down there. Good old Cole Hamels, and maybe Seth
Stop
Lugo.
it, man. Cole Hamels, come on, man.
Cole
Last. Okay, come on, man. Cole Hamels.
Yeah, man.
Get out of here with that.
He's trying to make a comeback. Yeah, I mean, obviously you got Darvish at the 1, Musgrove at the 2, Snell is kind of walky at the 3, Walk at the 4. I mean, that's a pretty decent rotation. If you got Cole Hamels at 5, I don't know much about this Brent Honeywell guy. Got to do some homework on him. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty much
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, but you're gonna get run support there in San Diego as well, right?
Ton of it. They paid for it.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be one to also watch right there. You kind of want to watch those 5 guys. It might be worth snagging whoever's the starter there. So we'll keep an eye on it as well. Keep you guys updated, and we'll try to keep you posted. And I'll go ahead and let you take this last team in the AL.
The team at the bottom.
West. Yeah, the team at the bottom, man.
The Gigantes, the Giants.
Yes, sir. It's all you, man.
Well, we got Mr. Reliable, Logan Webb, opening day starter. He's pretty consistent. He's going to give you probably 15 wins this year. Low 3 ERA, high 2. Then we got Alex Cobb, not too fancy. He got hurt last year. He said he's hurt right now. We got Sean Manaea, fresh off getting jacked all last season. Here's a big offseason addition for us, which isn't really saying a lot for a lot of other teams that pick him up. He's going to not fare well in this ballpark. This guy's going to get roasted. I wasn't really big on the signing. And then you got Ross Stripling. He's a veteran, been in the game for a while. He's probably going to be our 4, maybe our 5, depending on D. Scalfani and Alex Wood. I think Alex Wood steps in there and probably becomes our 3 guy down the stretch. But Alex Woods, he's been pretty consistent for us. Had some good times with him so far. Not too bad. And D. Scalfani, he was hurt all year last year, so he didn't even touch the mound, I don't believe. If he did, it was only for, I think, two or three starts, and then he got hurt again, and he was just done. They shut him down. So, overall, the lineup's not looking too great. I say Logan Webb 1. I personally like Alex Wood in the 2, and then Sean Manaea at the 3, Alex Cobb 4, and then whoever wants to start at a Stripling and D. Scalfani in the 5. I don't think we'll run a 6-man rotation yet. Mm-hmm. But a lot of teams do that. Like, you'll think they'll throw the pitcher for 1 inning and then throw a starter in there. So that could come and play too down the stretch.
Why do they do that, man?
Don't know. That's one of those things that I'm like I don't get it. It doesn't really do anything to the other team. In my opinion, I don't feel like it's really going to throw them off. So yeah, I don't. Maybe the extra 1-2 inning stretch you might be able to pull out of the starting pitcher, then you get your setup guy and your closer at 8-9 maybe. I don't know, but yeah.
Are you expecting big things out of this starting lineup? Starting rotation?
Other than Logan Webb and maybe Alex Wood, no. Like I said, Alex Cobb, I think Sean Manaea, I wouldn't even touch him. I think he's going to get brutal. He's just going to get rocked night in, night out. D. Scalfani, I kind of want to say, look, watch him down the stretch because he could do something, but I wouldn't really touch Stripling or D. Scalfani. So maybe Logan Webb for sure. He's getting drafted in every draft, and then maybe Alex Wood down the line.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, see how confident you are with your starting 5. I mean, that's a realist, man. I mean, my boy Ant could come out here and be like, "Oh yeah, man, these guys are all 15-game winners."
Yeah, man, can't do it. Yeah.
Oh shoot! All right. Hey, well, before we go to the NL West, we gotta I want to answer this question, Ant. If you were to start, somebody was to start playing fantasy baseball today, or it'd be their first year, what type of league is the best to start in?
First league. I hate saying a 10-man league, but that would probably be the best bet for anybody first year. Do a 10-man league with people you know. Don't do it with people you don't know, like a Yahoo just generated a league where you just have 10 random people join it, because you won't get no competition. Most of them won't even look at the league half the year. Those leave. So I make sure you get people you know. A 10-man league, and yeah, I mean, it's basic stuff. You know, don't. I would say do a points league, not category league. It's category leagues are a little harder to draft for, I believe, in my opinion. It's category leagues, you got to worry about steals, RBIs, batting average, and it's category league for a reason. You know, all these other categories you got to worry about. If it's a points league, you just draft the best players, and hopefully they score more points than the other team.
What about the daily? You want to throw the daily out there too? I know you're a big fan of the daily.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I like it both ways, because in the league, we talk about a lot. It's your lineup set on Monday. First player who hits the field, your lineup set. If it's unfortunate if you didn't set your lineup, you know, for whatever reason, early Monday morning, you didn't get a chance to look at it, or someone gets hurt midday Monday or Tuesday, you can't change it for the whole week. I can't stand that. Daily, like Paul just said, you can check your lineup every day, and you'll have a certain amount of picks you can pick up for the week, ads, and you can add pitchers, you can add batters, you can do so on and so forth. With that, you don't got to worry about looking at your lineup every day, because your lineup will already be set. And say come Wednesday, someone gets hurt, you can insert somebody else there that's on your bench, so on and so forth with that. And then that makes it. I feel like it's also in most formats, it gives you a button on the top where you can set your lineup for the week, and it'll set every position for the week, which helps both ways. I mean, if you're gonna do a league, I would do daily.
I don't know. I'm not a big fan of daily, so I mean, it's all on how you feel about it. The only thing I do like about daily is what Ant says, when your guy gets hurt, you're able to sub him in and out, and that's a big plus, because you've heard us talk about, like in our league, you have to kind of keep a little bit more. You gotta have more attention on when somebody's like got a little injury bug going on, or if somebody leaves the game, he left the game early with let's just say he's got a blister or something like that, or somebody gets hit by a pitch. Especially with big names like Trout's always been used, because Trout hits the DL so many times, and is a guy. Sometimes you can't do anything about it. Sometimes it'll happen in the middle of the week, like on a Tuesday, and then they're gonna shut him down for 10 days and throw him on a 10-day DL.
Yeah,
and then you're just kind of like you're hurt that way. It does suck. I mean, but there's the good and bad, because when you're playing somebody and it's their person that, oh man, he got hurt on Monday and he's out for 10 days. Like, whoa, yes, easy money, baby, easy money. But then when it's you, you're like, crap. You know what I mean?
You gotta figure something out.
So it's either it is what it is. You gotta win. You win some and then you lose some, man. But I like it. I like it when it's just a 1 week set and forget. But it's it's your taste. I mean, but Ant's right about the categories. You really don't want to play categories like that. You want the head up matchup with just straight points. Yeah. I feel it's a lot easier, and especially if you're getting into baseball, there's so many players that you have to like kind of take a look at. There's always brand new players coming in, even in the middle of the season. You're just on top of it. Baseball is one thing where you just got to kind of stay on top of it, almost daily, if anything. I know like when you're playing fantasy football, you're go get those reports, and there's no like AAA team that you can keep an eye on a lot of these young guys that are hitting. So what you could use is one of the tools is a scout team that a lot of these sites give you. That way they give you the updated news on how this player is doing. So that's one thing you can use, but that's the biggest tool for me, what I use. And I would go with just a point system if you're going to start off in fantasy baseball and head to head. Easy
Yeah,
money.
me personally, I feel like if you want to get a really good feel for fantasy baseball, daily is also better because you're always on it. You can't take no breaks. As long as you got the time to do it. If you don't take a break, you'll get the knowledge real quick. You'll learn all the names, all the rules, so on and so forth. So I mean, personally, I think if you want to get your feet wet and you want to get everything down real fast, do daily, because that way you can just learn everything within probably the first month.
Yes, sir. I mean, that's all I have for that. Are you good on that, Ant?
Yeah, I'm good, man. You pretty much hit the key on that.
Yeah. Let's move on to the AL West pitching rotations. Looks like Houston's already bundled up and everybody's got them. They even got their sixth pitcher on here. So
yeah.
I think because McCullers is out, so basically Hunter Brown looks like he's hurt too. So I don't know what they're doing for their fifth starter. If I could try to take a look. Do you know anything about a fifth starter in Houston?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think McCullers will be back sooner than later. But Jose Urquidy will be probably their 4 or 5 until that happens. So I mean, he had some good stretches down in the fantasy last year. So I think he's one of those guys who can definitely hold his own. He's a veteran. And Luis Garcia, he's one of those younger guys too who they're kind of hoping steps up.
Looks like Hunter Brown just completed a bullpen session, about 30 pitches, and it looks like he's targeting. Yeah, it looks like he should be ready to go by the home opener. So it looks like it's going to be those 5 guys with Hunter Brown. So, and if it's not, these guys are going to find somebody in Houston to pitch for them. So Houston's got a good farm team, man. They're always finding young talent there, pitching especially, man. I don't know how they do it, but whoever's scouting that team, man, is doing one hell of a job.
Yeah. Then they got Framber Valdez, man. He's pretty lights out.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice. He's really nice.
Yeah, we'll move on to the Los Angeles Angels. Ohtani at the top, of course. He's their best pitcher. The one I want to talk about is Reed Detmers. I picked him up. He should be available in a lot of your guys' fantasy leagues, but I've been reading ever since my draft started. I've been reading up on this guy, and he's just been pitching, just really great. And he's one of those kind of newer guys that's just been coming along, and in Cactus, he's tearing it up. So I'm taking a chance on this guy, and I'm gonna put him in. Actually, I'm gonna start him week 1 because of all the news I'm getting out of this guy. So he should be available in a lot of leagues out there. So if you got a roster spot, this is one guy I kind of like this a lot. So I would take a shot on this guy. Patrick Sandoval, middle of the pack guy. What do you think of him?
Yeah, he's cool. He's a 12-10 guy probably. He middle of the pack on the Ks and an okay ERA. I think he's more of a 4 or 5 guy. I put Detmers in front of him for sure, and they signed Tyler Anderson in the offseason. He had a great year with the Dodgers. I like him a lot. He gets a good amount of wins. Hopefully, the other side of LA, he gets the same amount of wins. Probably, I think he had like 14, 15 wins. And then you got Ohtani, of course.
Well, Sandoval pitched pretty great last year, man. I mean, he had a 2.91 ERA. The wins weren't there because it's the Angels. I mean, they really got. I mean, hitting wise, they only got those 2 guys. We just talked about Ohtani and Trout every week. Those are the only. I mean, that's all they got in my eyes. Is there anybody else out there on the Angels?
You're banking on Rondon.
Come on, man, stop it. Yeah, I'm not really worried about that, but I mean, the run support for sure. I mean, those 2 guys can't just get it done by themselves all the time, especially every week, and especially him being the number 3 pitcher. Those guys are going to have bad hitting games, just like any hitter would, but just the run support hasn't probably been there for this guy. But Patrick Sandoval, he's available in some leagues. I mean, not a bad guy to take a chance on. For sure, a double start guy I'm looking at. Right?
Double start, 100%. And depending on what your pitching lineup looks like right now, yeah, he should be probably owned in most leagues, if not all leagues.
For sure, if this was a 12-man league, I'm guaranteeing you this guy's going to be rostered.
Yeah, definitely.
And then looks like Jose Suarez is probably one of their top candidates to be their 5th guy. But other than those 4, honestly, other than those 4 guys, are probably the only ones you want to be rostered. If I'm
the
not
only
mistaken.
one, the only one on that list I heard of was Griffin Canning. I think he played for him a little bit last year. He didn't do too great, but that's the only one I've heard of on the back end of that list.
Yeah.
So
well, let's talk about the great team in Oaktown, California. How about that, man? Let's talk about them, man. Well, first of all, Paul Blackburn is going to hit the injured, the IR right off the bat. I already read a report, so he's not going to be the guy. So Kyle Moeller is going to be the opening day starter. I don't even know too much about this guy, to be honest. I thought it was going to be my boy James Cap or my boy Fujami, but I guess they're not going to give him the opening day start, but they're going to go with this guy. Yeah, well, I mean Kyle Moeller. Let me see. Let me see what he did last season. I mean, he only played in 3 games last season. You know, he pitched. He just got blown up. I mean, he was. I don't know what the A's do. The A's they know something a lot of people don't know with the A's, man. My boy Billy Bean's out there, you know, punching numbers and doing what he does best. For me, I'm probably going to be shocked. Watch this guy go out there and pitch lights out. I don't know how he does it. It's a pitcher's ballpark for sure. So, I mean, anytime you see a pitcher in Oakland, those guys are for sure going to pitch. I don't want to say pitch well, but it's easier to pitch just because of how big that field is.
Yeah, and then you get the foul ball territories like a whole extra field by itself.
It's a whole field, man.
Yeah,
yeah, it's a whole field, man. I mean, I love it. I love it and hate. I mean, that's another one where you love and hate, right? When you got your best hitter up and they hit that foul ball and the guy can run a whole mile and still catch it. So, I mean, that's just awesome to me sometimes. And then we got my boy James Cap in the middle. My boy Ken Dub C. I mean, he's been pitching pretty good in the Cactus League. He's going to be the number 2 pitcher going into the season. Like they got Fuji over here playing number 4. I thought he would be better or top of the list.
Considering you brought him over and paid him all that money, yeah, I thought he'd be
paid him
top 3.
Especially that. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they're trying to ease him in a little bit, but maybe get him his confidence. Maybe pitching him against not elite pitchers going head to head.
I can see this smooth him in. You know, nothing too pressurable. Too early. But I mean, we get a lot of talent from overseas. So I mean, I wouldn't see why there'd be too much pressure on those guys. But who knows? It could be a Billy Bean thing.
Yeah, and then with that 5th starter, man, you could just take whoever you want out there. The A's just do some random things sometimes. So, with the A's is a good one to kind of look at. They always find pitchers that are great double start pitchers. I always find a couple of good ones. So, not a lot of them where I want to just kind of with the single start because they're just the offense ain't there for me, man. The offense ain't there for me. You're not going to get a lot of run support.
Yeah. The runs definitely come and go in Oakland. They definitely come and go.
Exactly, man. That's why we need that new stadium, that new ballpark, man.
Yeah,
jeez, man.
Nice ballpark on the water.
Please get us a new ballpark, man. Enough of the A's, man. They're just heartbreaking when they just can't put a team together and just let me down every year. But moving on, to Seattle. How do you feel about the Seattle lineup over there?
I like it, man. They got a lot of young guys. Luis Castillo, not all young, but younger. Luis Castillo's been with the Reds for a long time. He got traded to Seattle last season, ended the season pretty well. He's their number 1 without a doubt. The only reason I say that is Robbie Ray kind of fell off. He was a Cy Young, I think 2 years ago, and then he didn't do really anything last year until about 3/4 of the way through the year. Then he started turning it on. That's why I got Luis Castillo at the 1. And then you got Logan Gilbert, really young guy. Has a lot of the tools to get you some wins. And I think he'll win he'll be a good guy moving forward in the next couple of years for fantasy. Marco Gonzalez is a younger guy, been around for a while. He'll give you like I say, like 10 wins, 10 losses, subpar ERA, and then you got George Kirby at the 5, another really young guy like Logan Gilbert, who I think can turn it on next couple of years. Takes time with some of these pitchers. You can't just throw them out there and give them 15, 20 wins. So that's why I say, well, George Kirby, I think it might be a little longer, but Logan Gilbert, I think he's there to go. He should get you. Yeah. I think he'll give you a pretty good season if you draft him.
There's no King Felix, you know what I mean? They should come in at 19 not. For sure and give you all those wins right off the bat, man. And I remember when King Felix used to be in the league, man, easy first rounder back in the day, man. Man, those were the good old days, man. And go ahead.
He had that swag to him too.
I know, man. Just that after, just always hyped up after a strikeout. You know what I mean? Yeah, man. He's for sure, man. I remember when he tried to make a comeback.
Don't get that no more without being a foul or a penalty or any emotion, and you get a card or something. Whatever sport you're in, you get some kind of penalty for it.
My boy, the benches are clearing if the guy is getting excited about a strikeout nowadays. I'm like, what's going on with that? Go ahead and finish up the last one with Texas, Ant. What do you think of that one?
Down in the deep part of Texas, we got the Rangers. I think they might make some noise this year. The pitching rotation, they added a lot to it. They got probably the biggest offseason addition in Jacob deGrom. If he stays healthy, hey, that's going to give you. He'll be a 20-plus game winner. Nathan Eovaldi, he was hurt off and on last year. He's still pretty solid. I would say I don't say too old, but he's probably in his early 30s. And then Martin Perez, he had a great year last year. I think he was like 12-8, I believe, and he was eating up innings all year long. He gave you 6-7 innings almost every start. Before last year, this guy was getting rocked every day in Boston, or every start in Boston. So the fact that he came out and helped out that ballpark with that ball club was pretty nice. And then John Gray, John Gray, he's cool. I mean, he'll give you some.
All right.
Yeah, he's a middle of the tier type guy. That's why I'm pretty sure they got him in the fourth in the rotation. So I mean, he probably where he's going to be. He'd probably be like a 10-9 guy or 9-9 guy, something like that, with pretty high ERA. And then the 5, they got like a whole bunch of names for the 5. Andrew Heaney. Andrew Heaney, he was actually pretty hyped up with the Dodgers. So I mean, I'm kind of interested to see what he does because he didn't do anything with the Dodgers, and he was hyped up for the past at least 2 years, and he never came around. And Dwayne Dunning, he had a couple good starts, but for the most part, it was pretty average. And Jake Odorizzi, he's been around the league for a while, who's already hurt. So I mean, between those 3 guys, I would probably say Andrew Heaney, just based off his most recent success and age. But I mean, overall, that's a pretty rock solid starting 5. I mean.
What about fantasy wise with John Gray? Do you see any value there?
12-man league, yes. 10-man league, no. Yeah,
he's the middle of the pack, and I'll stamp him as a double start. I mean, he could be serviceable for a double start for me once or twice, depending on how his season starts. Because I know he pitched in Colorado for a while too, right?
Yeah, he got destroyed in Colorado.
Yeah, manhandled out there. So maybe he needed to change the scenery. I mean, Texas, the ball flies out there too. So I don't know.
I mean, last year he had a good stint because I know our good friend Jose had him in our league, in a league that we were in, and he had a pretty good stint, and then he got hurt and just never came back. So, I mean, he shows all the signs of putting up the numbers. He just got to do it, So time will tell with John Gray.
For sure, man. That sums up for our pitching rotations here. I mean, we'll probably go as the season goes on. I mean, we got a long season ahead of us. And I'm sure these rotations are gonna change from week to week. Am I right, Ant?
Oh, no, most definitely. In between injuries and people that are going to get hit earlier than others, they're going to get pushed back in the rotation. someone's going to come up, take their spot, and they'll be in AAA before you know it.
Yeah, most definitely. So we'll keep going with those rotations week to week. We did the West. Maybe we'll do the East next week, and we'll keep you updated on those. Last part I want to talk about are the sleepers. There's a couple sleepers that I was on, I'm just online looking up some sleepers, and a couple of these names popped up. I'll start with one. Yeah, I'll start with one. I talked about Justin Turner. He's in a new spot in Boston. He looks like he just got hit in the face with a pitch just last week.
Yeah.
But it sounds like he's going to be good for opening day. So,
Boston, huh?
Yeah, exactly. He's going to be their full-time DH. So it should help him stay on the field because he is injury prone. So the last couple of years he's been injured. He struggled early in the last season, 2022. But after August, man, that guy, he was hitting 318. Well, he had 5 homers. He was good for pretty much the deeper teams last season in fantasy. And this will be his first year in the Beantown, man. What you think?
I really like it, to be honest. I think he's a Boston guy. He has a big beard, the swag to go with Boston.
Oh, you like the big beard guys? Or
the big beard, they don't care about what you look like out there, what you do. Johnny Damon had the big beard, all this and that, big poppy. I think he's going to go out there and have a year. I mean, I'll be surprised if he's not rostered in any leagues. He should be rostered in the majority of leagues just off his name. Turner's been a pretty consistent guy throughout his entire career when he wasn't hurt, and he's only been hurt of quite a select few times. So I mean, he produces pretty well when he's not hurt. And it's sad because I'm a Giants fan. He's been a Dodgers his whole career, and he's one of the Dodgers I've actually liked throughout his tenure there. So he hits the ball pretty well. If it ain't out of the park, he finds the gaps. So I think he could have a pretty good year in Boston.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he's playing in a little bit easier to hit out there than LA for sure. So I think he could help you in fantasy. I know he's available in I think half the leagues when I checked it. So third base, if you need third base help or a utility guy, or just a guy to try to find you some points somewhere, I think Justin Turner could be that guy everybody's sleeping on. Also I have CJ Abrams, a shortstop for Washington. How much do you know about this guy?
Really young guy, and I don't know a whole lot. He only played a little bit, if any, last year. It's kind of with Washington. They're pretty much in a rebuild mode. They're pretty much getting rid of everybody. So they're using all their picks and all their transactions they made, and everybody they got. All these young guys are coming in, and I mean, shortstop is a pretty key position. And if he's going to be the everyday shortstop, I hope that he steps up and does what he has to do, because there's not. I mean, somebody has to step up in that lineup and do something. So I don't think he's a really power hitter, but I think he's more of like a line drive, deep guy. Maybe hit the gaps a lot. So I don't know. So I think he's worth owning right now, but just based off the hype and what the little I've seen from him, I think he's worth owning. But it kind of depends on if it's 10-man league. No, 12-man league, I would own him for sure.
So when he was brought up last season, he played in some games and he was batting. I think it was like 20-something games he was played. So just small sample size of him. So he had like two home runs in that, and he was batting like over 300, and he had a ton of steals though. So he's one of those guys that's going to give you a ton of steals, and his steals are good too, man. I mean, you're getting 2 points every time you get a steal. This guy's stealing from second to third in one shot, and then he's scoring. So he's giving you almost like 5-6 points every time he goes around those bases. I mean, it's just as good as a guy hitting a home run.
Yeah, it definitely makes up for the guy who doesn't hit the home run or doesn't get all the RBIs. You get a single, it's 1 point. You get a steal, it's 3 points. You get a run, it's at least another point. That's 4 points right there. That's off this one at bat. So like you said, it's not always the grand slam or miss. You can do it in other ways than just home runs.
It doesn't look good, but it still gets done.
Yeah, and that's where these guys at Abrams are going to come in. He, for all we know, he could be the next Justin Turner. And Justin Turner is a top 3 player in fantasy. So, steals make a difference. Justin Turner gets a lot of steals, gets a lot of hits. Oh, not Justin Turner. Sorry. What did I say?
Trey Turner.
Trey Turner. Trey Turner.
Don't ever disrespect my boy
Yeah,
Trey Turner
man,
like
my
that
bad.
again, man.
I said Justin Turner.
Jeez.
Just like Trey Turner, you know, Washington, shortstop, a lot of hits, a lot of steals. He hits. I mean, he has a little more pop, obviously, you know, but he could be similar, you know, down the line. Don't want to.
He's a young kid, man. Once he hits the weights a little bit, maybe build a little bit of that power.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you never know. He could turn his. I mean, look at Charlie Blackmon, man. The guy had 37 home runs. He's not a big guy.
Yeah, he's not a big guy at all. I mean,
so you never
does
know.
It every year, so yeah,
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, man. You never know. So keep an eye on this guy. Another one of our sleepers. Brandon Donovan, second baseman, St. Louis. I know he played. I think the second half of last season. I think I owned him for a little bit. He had his time where he actually kind of looked good, and then he struggled a lot. And then he just, he'd have another 2 good weeks. Just wasn't consistent. But he had weeks where he was shining a little bit. Now he's getting looks like he's going to be this everyday second baseman out there in St. Louis. So he's going to get his opportunity to go ahead and play out there. But if he can just find that consistency, I think he's one guy that can benefit, especially at second base, where it's a hard position to fill in fantasy. If you don't draft one of the top 2 or 3 guys at second base, I mean, this guy could probably give you some points there, right?
Yeah, there's only a handful of second basemen that you're going to get, that are going to give you rock solid numbers. So after that, like you said, you got Brandon Donovan for the Cardinals. He's I don't know, like he flutters, like you said somewhere that he flutters around. He give you 2-3 weeks where you're getting probably 20 to 30, and then they'll give you 12. That's not cool. 12 points ain't give me nothing, if that. So yeah, I feel like with the bats around him, he should be doing more, because I mean he had Arenado, Goldschmidt. I can't think of the other guy's names. I know they have O'Neill. There's somebody else.
O'Neill.
He has a funky name. There's another guy who came out and did really well last year, but I feel like he should be doing a little more with what he has around him. But I mean, like you said, it takes a little time, So I mean, this could be a year where if you don't have a great second baseman, sit on him for a little bit, or even if you don't want to pick him up, at least keep a good eye on him. And if he starts doing something, then I'd make a waiver claim for him.
So check this out. He batted .280 last season. Not bad.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad. And check out this. He could play your second base, third base, and outfield. So the flexibility, I think, is there for sure. I mean, second, third, and outfield. I mean, I don't know how much you really need flexibility in our type of league, but I mean, it's always good to have it, right?
Yeah, like we said when we started the show that let's say someone gets hurt just for a week, it's a quick plug and play, and it gives you more flexibility to look at other, like let's say your second baseman gets hurt and your first baseman can play second base as well. You don't necessarily got to look for a second baseman to fill it with. You can look for a first baseman to help you out there instead of picking up a second baseman that you have to pick up just to fill the void, or an outfielder, so on and so forth. That way you have more flexibility on the whole waivers to look at instead of a particular position.
Yeah. I mean, I like it. Like you said, it's easier. Second base is something really hard to find. Second and your shortstop. Third baseman, sometimes you can get lucky, but they're also usually third base, you're gonna find a guy that's gonna be hitting for power. Usually it's those bigger guys. So it's not as bad as second. But yeah, I mean, the flexibility is always nice. And I had him actually last season. He did pretty well. And I had him in the Yahoo League with the flexibility. And, it was just wonderful to have something like that. The next guy I want to talk about, Will Myers, man. I think he's moved on to Cincinnati. I feel like he could do really well, man. But we all know what the biggest problem with Will Myers is, right?
Striking out?
His not staying on the field, man.
Oh, well, that too. My bad. Sorry. He's striking out a lot too. I'm big on strikeouts. Yeah. I don't like strikeouts. Those are minus points.
Mean, Will Myers though, he's your first / outfielder. He has a little flex there, but I mean, if he stays on the field, man, he does pretty well.
Yeah, him and Him and Justin Turner were the two I was most excited to talk about. But I like Will Myers. He had flashes in San Diego. He never really lived up to the hype. But I feel like in Cincinnati, he'll grow into a bigger role, and then they'll need him a little more. And I don't think he'll play first base. I think they still have Joey Votto. Surprisingly, I think they still have him out there.
Who?
Yeah, Joey Votto.
He's still there?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yikes!
So more likely he'll play probably one of the corners in their outfield. And I think I don't want to excite him much, but I think he might have a good home run season.
This guy right here?
Yeah, Will Myers.
Because he used to on average hit. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, you're good. I was gonna say if he's an everyday guy.
Oh, I mean, he should be an everyday guy, but if he can get back to being healthy, this guy can hit 28 to 30 home runs.
Yeah, I was gonna say, he'll around 35 at most 35 home runs, but that's a little bit of a reach. But I mean the ball flies in that ballpark in
Cincinnati.
So yeah, Cincinnati, they got a pretty big ballpark, but it flies pretty well.
Yeah, I don't see him hitting 35 for me. If he stays healthy, I could see him around the 25 to 30 area, just kind of right there. And if he could stay healthy, I mean, the guy's got a little bit of pop to him, but for sure. Yeah. I mean, if he's there, man, he's one of the guys that could be a nice sleeper for somebody. We got a couple more guys on this list. Is this the guy you're talking about? Lars Nootbaar, outfielder for St. Louis?
No, the guy I was talking about, well, I actually looked it up too. It was right here. Tommy Edman.
Oh, Tommy Edman.
Yeah, he had a pretty good year. But yeah, I honestly don't know much about the Nootbaar guy.
Yeah, he's
new to me too.
They have him here, man. I'm trying to look him up a little bit. He looks like he's an outfielder. They said he's been a really very popular sleeper already to target this draft season. And they say he's been going in drafts. To be honest, he's got the physical tools to, with both power and speed for a breakout season. Looks like he's going to be in a very good lineup in St. Louis. The question is for this guy is the apparent how many appearances he's going to make with the outfield. Like you just said, it's pretty hefty outfield over there. Yeah,
the Cardinals, they're pretty stacked over there. Their lineup between young and veteran, they got pretty much every role filled. So unless there's something we don't know with Lars Nootbaar, I think we got to wait and see with him.
Yeah, because I know O'Neill got hurt last season. I think he did. Yeah. He popped up in here a little bit, but I mean the average is doesn't really look too nice. I mean the guy's batting .228, and he had 14 home runs last season. But they said he's having a really good spring. It looks like he's a leadoff guy. That's the reason why they want to keep him in the lineup.
Okay, that's why.
Yeah. He's a leadoff guy. He can,
I saw the power and the speed in the notes. I was like, yeah, I mean, power and speed, you can't really go wrong with that.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that's what the Cardinals are looking for. They're trying to find a guy with leadoff potential, and this is the guy. It's just the fact of the matter is where they're gonna put this guy because the outfield's already been kind of like taken up, So the biggest problem is trying to find out where they're gonna put him.
Yeah.
I don't want another guy for Cincinnati, TJ Friedl. I don't know too much about him. He was on the list. Have you ever heard of this guy?
Yeah, I heard a little bit about him. Didn't do a whole lot with what he had. He played quite a bit and didn't do a whole lot with it. So I was kind of surprised. Like, yeah, I mean, he's a young guy and he's an outfielder. So they were giving him a good amount of time. And yeah, I feel like he's one of those guys who you can take a chance on if you're I've been noticing about a lot of fantasy leagues. If you don't draft outfielders kind of early, there's not really a whole lot later, like guaranteed guys, Mm-hmm. So if you want to take like a risk or really high risk or low risk, high reward, it kind of depends with him. I don't know if he's even starting in San Diego. I mean, not saying in Cincinnati. So if he's starting, yeah, I'll take a risk on him. Maybe if your outfield's kind of questionable, but if he's not starting, if he's not an everyday guy, what you need in your lineups daily or weekly, that's kind of hurt your lineup a little bit. So that's why I would wait and see what he's going to do.
Yeah, they said he has a good amount of power and speed as well.
Yeah.
He played a little bit last season. Let me see. He had about 8 homers. He batted about 240. Maybe maybe a rotational guy, but still, if he's a rotational guy, that's the one guy you kind of want to stay away from. Then, I mean, you need a guy that's, especially with fantasy, you need a guy that's going to be in that everyday lineup for sure. All right, I think we got like 2 pitchers to talk about real quick that are sleepers. The one thing I do not like about it is one of them pitches for Baltimore, man. Kyle Bradish. I mean, anything pitching in Baltimore, man. It's kind of rough.
We talked about that in the last podcast. Baltimore is not the team to talk about right now. Fantasy relevance. You got a few young bats. You got Cedric Mullins, but pitching wise, let's wait and see 100%. Don't start nobody until you see some form of relevance, some form of giving you some success. Because if you don't get any success of these guys beforehand, you're gonna throw them in your lineup and they're gonna give you -10, 4, 7, stuff like that. So don't start anybody in Baltimore without looking at them first.
Yeah, so I mean, good to keep an eye on. And
yeah,
if you really struggling with pitching, I mean, it's kind of hard to start one of those guys, right?
Yes, it depends, because I mean, I would always go other routes first. Depending on double starts as well. If you got guys who's got double start, I would look into it with Baltimore. But that's probably the only reason why I'll probably look at a Baltimore starter if he's a double start. Other than that, I mean, look at a Baltimore starter, to be honest. So, I mean, at least right now, you know. So, I mean,
at least for right. It's too early. It's way too early.
Way too early
to be trusting somebody from Baltimore.
Yeah. So I mean, if they have double start, look into it and look into who they're playing, and then maybe if you want to roll the dice, go for it.
Yeah. So keep an eye out on him. Just take a look. Maybe add him to the scout team.
100%
doesn't hurt.
Team,
last guy we got on here. I think we talked about him in the rotations. Jose Suarez, and the pitching for the Los Angeles Angels. Looks like he came in there and pitched a little bit last season. He threw in the second half. He pitched a 2.81 ERA. He had about 58 Ks. I mean, the guy has good stuff. I mean, good command. He's got a nasty slider, they say, but he could maintain in the back end of that rotation, pretty much the 5 spot.
Yeah, 5 spot, 4 spot depending on injuries, so on and so forth. But the 5 spots locked up. Jose Suarez, I think he has room to grow, and he's somebody who can help out that team a lot, because they don't really have a whole lot of guarantees in their lineup other than Ohtani.
Yeah, I mean, he was magic last season. I mean, they did, like you said, he only pitched 64 innings last season, I think. 2.81 ERA, you can't go wrong with that.
It's pretty good.
I mean, again, we're talking about LA with run support too. So, I know they got Ohtani, I know they got Trout, but I mean, other than that, man, that's all they got.
Well, I mean, Tyler Anderson, like I said earlier, he's a pretty good pitcher, man. He had a good year. I would say you're high on Sandoval. I'm not so high on Sandoval, but I would say Ohtani, Trout, not Ohtani, Anderson, Sandoval for sure owned. And other than that, you can kind of just pick and see how it looks.
Well, wait, the jury's still out on Suarez. Still, he's a young pitcher. So.
Definitely. I'll still wait on. I wouldn't roster him yet by any means.
But a good thing to keep an eye on. So there's another guy you want to click on the scout team. So there's a lot of guys we talked about today, and we want to just say your scout team, making sure you're using that right. A lot of guys that you want to keep an eye on. Just hit that button, man. Because I know in our league, if you put that if you hit that add to scout team, there's a little bar next to it. It'll show your player news, all player news, and then you got scout team news, and it'll keep you updated and it'll just kind of keep you informed on how those guys are doing. And then, the more you see it, I'm like, okay, good news on him, good news on him. All right, and now I think it's time to pull the trigger, because now you're getting the news is just getting better and better on the guy that you've been watching, and you want to be able to pull the plug, or actually not pull the plug, but you want to be able to stash the guy up sooner than later, because everybody else or somebody else could be looking at the same guy.
Yeah,
so
you'll definitely get weekly updates, if not almost daily, with a lot of players that are, the bigger name players for sure.
Yeah, man, for sure. That's all I got, Ant. Is there anything else you want to add to any of this podcast before we sign off?
No, man. Opening day, baby. Let's go. Coming right around the corner. Y'all get your lineups in. Any questions you guys got, drop us in the comments. The TYIF Instagram, hit us up on Instagram and Twitter for all the comments you guys want to hit us with. Any comments or questions before opening day, let us know and we'll answer those. We're pretty active, so we can get back to you quick. You guys got any trades you guys want to ask? Who's going to win or lose? Let us know, and we'll give you an honest opinion on who's going to win that deal. And if you got any waiver pick like that, let us know as well. Twitter and Instagram, let us know.
Also want to add, probably starting next week, we want to probably do a video, probably send out a video on like double starts, I think, and we're gonna do double starts, because I know me and you kind of look a little bit early once the season starts. Yeah. On Monday and Tuesdays, I know me and Ann are just very active on the following week's double starts. So we'll do all what we got to do, and actually what we normally do, snag those guys up real early. And we'll be trying to set up a video on for Wednesdays, a quick little maybe 15, 20-minute video, and talk about the double starts we picked up, why we picked them up, and if there's any quick news we can go over and keep you guys updated on that as well to help you with your fantasy weeks. Because other than that, follow us at TIYF Pod on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, at TIYF Pod, or I'm sorry, at TIYF_pod on Twitch TV. You can check us out on Apple Podcasts or any podcast you listen to. Other than that, like I said, we'll see. We'll send a video out probably next Wednesday, and other than we'll see you guys next Sunday for the full fantasy baseball podcast. You guys have a great day.
All right, guys. Have a good rest of your Sunday.